What's up, Plinko fans? I'm Jasmine.
And I'm Michael.
And you're watching M&J Games. Today we're doing a special park tour of Michael's Three Towers Park. And Michael, this is your fourth park?
I think it's actually probably more like my sixth park, but it's really like the third one that I'm like, I guess, proud of or think I've done an adequate job on.
And what was your inspiration for this park?
Well, I think, and somebody said this kind of medium, or kind of as we were probably halfway through the series, that, I tend to build more amusement parks than theme parks, just because when I look for inspiration, I don't look to Disney or Universal or anything like that. I look to like Cedar Point, Kings Island, Kings Dominion, Six Flags Parks. And so for me, it was kind of, in my last park, I definitely took some like concepts that I thought from Cedar Fair style parks, and so I just kind of wanted to build on that and try to improve in some areas. And so some of you might notice this entrance looks very similar to Canyon Valley, if you have seen Canyon Valley. And it was because when Jasmine and I started a YouTube channel, I wanted to start a Let's Play series, and I was about halfway through my Canyon Valley park, and I decided to kind of what was the best way to phrase it? I decided to try to recreate what I did with that entrance a little bit, but it still is a little bit different in terms of once you actually enter the park.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to also kind of improve my parking lot area, and as you'll see, there are no cars in the parking lot simply because I didn't have the counter or piece count for it. But I wanted to try to make a more realistic parking lot and stuff.
And to be clear, this is over 100% on a PS5.
Yes, it's about 130% on PS5, so about 180 to 190ish on PS4. But as you can see, tried to get very detailed with this, and it's not perfect. Like, there are definitely some areas I still want to improve with it, but overall, I'm very happy with the sight lines and everything.
Yeah, it looks different, but similar to your Canyon Valley Park.
Yes, and so one thing that I tried to do too was at all the exits, because I don't like how the map just ends, so I didn't do a very good job of it over here. But I tried to kind of cover up like where the cars would go. Mm-hmm. And I saw Iron Matty's done this, kind of putting the screens there, and so that's kind of where I got the first idea from. And so if you look over here, and we'll kind of start the tour in a second, but I kind of had two different entryways, and these were made by Ted07386, so they're on the workshop. And I thought it was a good kind of little, as the cars kind of come into the park. And so the idea is you've got two different lanes, and
is that like for them to
pay to park or something?
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, and then obviously you've got the exit over here. But what I really liked too was I decided to kind of add one of those remote parking lots, like overflow parking, kind of up here, where it's not really, it's just kind of basically dirt.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually what overflow parking is.
Yeah.
Well, I guess sometimes they are actual parking lots, but yeah.
Yeah, so one thing I really want to try to do, kind of like in the my collab with Web Gaming, is try to make sure that from the parking lot, you're not really seeing outside of the park much. So adding a lot of trees, probably need to differ up the kind of trees I'm using and stuff, but really tried to make it seem wooded. And then one other thing to show real quick before we look at the park is I kind of had this idea of the staff having a different entryway, and so this is kind of a drive for staff to drive to where they could get to work. And actually, if you were to look up here, look how thin that is. This took about an hour trying to figure out how to get this raised enough, but not actually I can't. There we go. But yeah, basically to where it wasn't gonna just crater the entire cement above it, essentially. So you come out here, and then there's entryways for those buildings, and then I built this, which Jasmine said, what'd you say this looks like?
Well, I said it looked like a prison, but then I also said it looked like a school.
Yeah.
I don't think you like that I said prison.
Yeah, I don't like you said prison. I don't know why I said prison. Prison's got like
well, you know what?
bars on
A lot of
windows
schools look like prisons.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Well, I looked up and I was looking for inspiration. I was like, okay, theme park, amusement offices or something, and a picture of something similar to this came up, and so that's where I had the idea. And then there's like, you'd have the maintenance area there, which I will say my maintenance area is not as decked out as in Canyon Valley, just because I use more detail on stuff all around the park, so I kind of ran out of space. But one thing here is started making some air ducts, custom air ducts, which is just those rounded cube pieces along with the 1x1 meter screen. So yeah, so I'm happy with how this turned out though, and especially the look from here is if you're a guest view, you can see a little bit, but you really can't see too much of that spot. So I think it's a good look. So now what I need to do is I'm going to officially open up the park.
I was gonna say, I thought maybe you left it closed because you didn't have as many, like you ran out of counter.
No, I'll be honest, I completely forgot that I hadn't opened it yet.
Oh, okay.
we will start the tour as the park's opening. Yeah, so here's the entrance. Ticket prices, you've got your tickets over here, you got bathrooms over there, season pass, you got a staff room, which I probably should put like a door on there, but too late now. And here for season passes, I actually tried to, you've got like the little sequencers and stuff that kind of maybe represent like computer or different stuff, but I could have actually done the computer screens now that I think about it.
You could have mixed up your peoples so that they aren't identical.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I try to like color them different colors. And
I didn't think about that.
Put the female in there too, so it doesn't look like they're all like the same person.
That's true. So now here we are, and this is the first time I've ever done signs. So this is the only place with a sign throughout the park, but it's just kind of telling you which coasters are to the left and to the right. So as you can see, we've got a lot of coasters in this park. We got about 10 in total, but I think there's 10. But yeah, so which way do you want to go, Jasmine?
Well, it's your park, so you tell me.
Well, yeah, but I know where everything is in here. You're the visitor too, so. All right,
Let's go the way that the guests are going. So to the left.
To the left? Okay. So if we go this way, this is very similar to Canyon Valley, but I tried doing a little different style with the building. As you can tell, we're in flip cam mode now, and so I think I want to walk around this park in flip cam mode, and we will show some zoomed out views and stuff. But I'm happy with how this turned out.
Yeah.
And I wish we could change like these to have like pictures of actual coasters in the park, but I still think
that would be so cool.
They're good little advertisements, especially
they
her.
are. Yeah.
Although as you can see, it's kind of grainy since we're over 130%. Although that one doesn't look great. Yeah, it does. Never mind.
What's in there?
So I should have put more signs up and stuff for it, but this is kind of a shopping area, and all this stuff in here was created by Tommy Leeds 23, or those of you on the Discord, or if you follow him on Facebook, might know him as Tommy P. But he does a great job.
Those are so cute.
I know, right? Look at those. He does such a good job making all this kind of stuff for the park.
Yeah.
So that's a good job. And so right away, I don't have a ton of elevation changes in this park, and that's something I really want to work on with my next one. But we do have elevation changes here a little bit, which I think does kind of provide some good sight lines as you're walking in, kind of seeing the chair swing and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like every park has to have a chair swing,
merry-go-round,
a Ferris wheel, and a carousel.
Yeah, I need a Ferris wheel. That's what I need in this park. But so I like though how you're walking too. We now see Heatwave.
Is that the first one we're going on?
Mm-hmm. And this is the first coaster that I made in the park. And so there's...
I named it.
Yes, Jasmine named it. Thank you so much. And I don't really like the curves they give in this game, so I always try to do borders, like my own borders with it and stuff. Yeah, so let's go on Heatwave. So any initial thoughts?
No, I like this little covering you have here.
Yeah, it's a pergola, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ideally looking back on it, if we didn't have a counter and I had more percentage, I would have liked to cover this entire thing in cement and do like custom fencing and stuff, but...
I think it looks good.
Yeah, and so I tried to... Which actually I should have connected this fence over this way, but tried to fence everything off from a realistic standpoint. And so... I do like how when you're waiting in line, you just kind of constantly see that coaster going down the first hill.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good visual perspective of it.
We gotta wait for people to get on.
I know, right? So, Now, while we're waiting for people to get on, if you click on this, so let's look at the stats real quick. So the results are track length about 1,200 meters, max speed 70 miles per hour. Vertical G-force is a little bit higher, and I think I know the area where that's at. Biggest drop 45 meters. So really excited to show you all this coaster. So while we're going up the chain, I'll say I got the inspiration for this coaster from Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion, but it's 305 feet instead of about 150.
Yeah, it was a good coaster. I like that you tend to have like coasters that kind of hug the ground on turns and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yeah, I like it. I try to get the turns a little more whippy, and I came back and smoothed it out a little bit more. So I think overall, I'm happy with how I've improved with my smoothing of coasters. But yeah, I like the layout, especially kind of putting trees in. It kind of winds all around itself.
Yeah.
And then this is my first time ever custom supporting. And if you look at a picture of I-305, the only thing I'm missing is the spine that it has. But I really tried to custom support.
Oh wow, good job.
This.
I mean, I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah, but if you look at a picture of I-305 in the lift hill, this is how it looks, and I think it looks. I mean, that just kind of gives a really kind of cool, unique look to it, right?
Yeah.
And it is amazing to me, like structurally, how these massive coasters are able to only be supported by a couple supports plus that spine, which, like I said, I didn't put the spine on there. And then, my transfer tracks. I love doing transfer tracks. And this was the first one that I did in the park, so I think it's the most detailed. And inside, we have
okay.
really kind of all decked out and stuff with those cabinets that these are on the workshop that I've made. And yeah,
I
just
remember
trying to.
I think Chrissy had featured that in one of her videos, Chrissy P.
Yeah, for sure. And I tried to do, what did I put here? Oh, just emergency lights to try to represent like the stop and go button to where you could move the coaster out of there and stuff. So really happy with that. Now one of our cats wants to look at the park. So let's continue with where we're at. Let's get this off the screen. And the reason why I do like flip cam mode is I like the zoom in aspect too, because it almost like adds another like graphical kind of look to it, So it's like you zoom in and see the coaster right there. So I think it's a really cool look. So, any other thoughts so far?
Yeah, I just like how I like this little bathroom.
Yeah. Well, and throughout this, if there's anything you notice, I would love like constructive criticism too. Like, is there anything you guys noticed that you would have done differently or whatever?
Anything I noticed?
Yeah, or you or any of the viewers too. So, just because I want to constantly get better at it. So I know I will say my it's basically a flat park. So definitely need to work on that.
Well, we have different styles on certain things.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So this area here, I kind of criticized Michael a little bit about the colors that he had with the fencing, because I was like, why? I didn't understand why he had like this red fencing. But it's not something that I would do, but I think it looks fine. I don't think it looks terrible. But yeah. I think I was saying like I probably would have made it white
Right.
just to match like everything else in this little area, but it doesn't look bad.
Yeah, and I think my initial thought was because Nerd Chacho did in his kids area in his most latest park, he used a lot of this fencing and he colored it differently for every ride. And so I think that was my initial idea, and then I think I totally forgot that I was going to color it differently, and I got done with like half of it and it was all red, and I was like, well, I'm not going back and changing that.
Yeah.
And so when Jasmine was like, I think it should all either be white or this color, I was like, okay, I'll keep that in mind for next time.
Yeah.
But here's the kids coaster, which is based off of Flying Ariel Ace at Kings Island, and I called it Soaring.
I actually went on that ride, and I liked it.
Yeah, and you said it went fast too.
I thought it feels fast when you're going like in that first little turn, and because this is like an inverted coaster, right?
Yes.
And so it just feels fast, but then like we actually looked up like how fast it was, and it was only like 35 miles an hour, and I was like, what? But it feels fast with the wind on your face.
Yeah. So I guess no guests are willing to ride this right now. Let's see. Well, perfect timing though.
Yeah. And we were on the front row when we went on this at Kings Island. So it probably feels faster on the front row.
Yeah. Well, and it's different because there's no part of the coaster in front of you that you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm very happy with how this kids ride turned out.
So how fast was your coaster?
Oh, well, I just got the HUD off the screen. Let's see.
Sorry.
So I don't know why nobody's willing to ride the ride. Let's see. 32 miles an hour.
Okay.
So it's very, very similar.
Very similar.
Very similar.
Yeah, and I like this ride because there wasn't a big drop on it.
Yeah.
Because I don't like big drops. But yeah, I think he did a good job making it very similar to the flying, whatever that other one
Ariel
is.
Ace, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I like the station. I kind of tend to take a color and run with it.
Yeah, you do. But I do like that your coaster is red to kind of break it up.
I'll be honest, I totally forgot to change that. But that works well then because the red...
Yeah, the red on the fence.
Yep, so it kind of all ties in. But I like this kind of fencing that I was using for this kids area. And another thing too, I wanted it all to be fenced off just because, when you're in a kids area, you want it to feel very safe and to where you can kind of maybe, you're going to spend more time there with your kids, so you might be sitting down on a bench and stuff, and you don't necessarily want it to be a part of the park where you've got all the guests walking around in,
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so that's why, as you'll see, so this is, I probably should add more detail to this, but this little food court area. So I put these here to where in theory you could have them pull down at night to where it kind of locks up the area. And this is one thing I started doing is using these doors. So if you just use a stucco wall and then these bull bars, they fit perfectly inside the wall and it looks like this just door handles. So it works really well to make it
cool.
To seem like for
is the staff room back here?
Yeah, there's a staff. These are staff rooms.
Okay, yeah.
And so the staff will kind of walk back there.
Yeah, that's a cool feature. Oh, and you have a little keypad to open.
Where are you talking about?
Go down where that door is, where he just walked in. What's that?
Oh no, that comes with the door.
Which door?
You talking about this right here?
Yeah, the little black thing. What's that?
That comes with the door. That specific door.
Oh.
Because that's like an actual door, Planet Coaster door plane. So it actually comes with it.
Oh. I thought you like made that.
No, I wish. That'd be awesome.
Like a keypad to like open the door.
Yeah. And so on this part, I had the solid wall because of it being a kind of a little backstage part. You don't want the guests necessarily seeing that.
Yeah.
And then so here's some, and this is one thing too that I learned from Nerd Chacha that I think works really well is using these Spook Central windowsills as kind of borders because they're only like 2 meters. Yeah, so it's like a curb, but it's not going to deter people from walking there.
Right.
So there's a flat ride, which we'll get to in a second. And then here, I was too lazy to make my own because I've never made one of these before. So this was a mixture of NH99 and Web Gaming's playgrounds because Web Gaming made the chairs. He also made this awesome thing right here.
Yeah.
And then this is NH Play Savings. I just thought like some kind of play area worked perfectly here, and I had the solid wall as well so that if parents are sitting here and watching their kids, you don't have random strangers looking in at them.
Yeah.
Just from a safety perspective. And
yeah, that's cute.
Yeah. Then just kind of added foliage here. So if we come around this way,
I think you've done a good job with your foliage. I feel like you've
trying to vary it up more. I'm trying to learn from you.
It looks good.
And trying to add rocks in too, so I can kind of just add some.
The rocks really help make it look natural.
There's Tommy CM's favorite, the Whirly Rig. And then honestly, I love this little ice cream shop.
Ice cream. That reminds me of Purple Cow.
Yeah. Purple Cow is a great restaurant that we have in Little Rock, Arkansas. And
That's where Michael's from.
Yeah, they make milkshakes. You can get a purple milkshake. It's just a vanilla milkshake with purple like coloring or dye, and it's awesome. So yeah, we've got the I like the little station I did here. Nothing too crazy. Need to put some lights, so I forgot about that. But let's
what's this ride called? Oh,
I haven't named it.
Oh.
Totally forgot. If anybody knows a good name, or do you know a good name for this?
I don't know. Something gardens, because we're in like a topiary garden.
Yeah, now one bit of advice I did get on this was to, when I make another one of these, kind of match the terrain to it.
Match the what?
You can kind of match the terrain to it, so like, elevate the terrain to where it kind of matches the kind of the flow of it.
That's true. Or you just make like a little bridge or something.
Right, yeah, make a bridge.
Yeah.
Well, we can go ×2 speed on this thing. Woo! But I love these little bushes. Especially when you kind of spin them around, it looks cool. But yeah, that's my first time actually trying to make one of these and actually making it kind of decked out, and so I'm happy with how it turned out.
That's cute.
So now, done with the kid stuff. So as you can see, we've got a Skyfall. Yep. Now I do need to. I will say I've just been kind of torn on what to do with the coloring of the sign. So I might change it again. I looked at doing web gaming, and I looked at maybe having it kind of be offset with the colors of the coaster. And I did change the color of the coaster a little bit. It still has the green for the supports, but the actual steel component of it's gray. And so I just don't really know what to do with the colors of this to kind of make it work well to where it kind of stands out. But we'll come to Skyfall in a second because we have this awesome wooden coaster. And so here's a little backstage spot here, but then this is a little food spot, on-ride photos.
Oh, I like your ketchup and mustard.
Yeah, I couldn't really think of anything else to do, so I just took those ornaments and colored them.
That's cute. I knew what it was.
Yeah, and this one thing I've started doing too is putting the TV screens there with a picture of the stall.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to do it. If you want something. Because it could be like a little menu or something.
Yeah, as if you go to theme parks, they got menus hanging up there, right?
Yeah.
Like the menus really, they're kind of in there, but a lot of times they do have menus on the outside.
Right.
And I really like how this queue kind of turned out. Just trying to do something different with the design and look of it.
Yeah.
And then I did all this custom fencing, and I just turned these kind of 45 degrees, so they kind of make a different kind of look to it. And then, yeah, so happy with this.
I mean, it kind of reminds me of like a open air barn or something.
Mm-hmm. Now this coaster we're gonna ride at night.
Okay.
And let's
Twister.
Yeah, it's called Twister because it twists. No, I'm just kidding. It's destructive. Let's see. We're definitely gonna ride front bumper view. So I feel like, I don't know why it is that coasters are so smooth in this game, or more smooth in front bumper view.
I actually really like making wooden coasters now that I've made a couple.
Yeah. Let's look at the results real quick. Yeah, this is my first like true wooden coaster to make that I have in a game. G-force look good. Max speed 64. Biggest drop 40 meters.
I like that you put these lights on.
Yeah, I think it worked well with the coaster design. Did you smile for the camera?
Yes. No, I didn't.
I was about to say, she's lying.
That was a nice feature. You got to show how you did that, or how do you make them blink like that, the lights?
Yeah, so this is, I suggest going and watching Iron Matty's tutorial on it. I will link that below. So these just have the area lights built in. And what I did was if you look there, there's a sequencer.
Oh.
And with that sequencer, I have it triggered. I have those lights set to that sequencer. And then if you edit trigger sequence, so with this one, the colorable area light, if you go to, it says toggle every 0.1 second, so it's just going to go like this for a second. So it's going to have it go real quick. And then on the coaster, which you can actually, as long as you've got it all made, before you use the Oswald trick that I used, you can still add triggers to your coaster afterwards. It just won't save that it's already there. And so I put the trigger about right here. And what I did was I connected, not the sequencer, but I connected the, I added the trigger there. And so it's like when it gets there, it flashes for about a second, which...
Yeah, that's really good.
I tested it looking at sitting on all parts of the train. It actually works perfectly. And let me see real quick. So one thing that I am really happy about with this coaster and how it turned out is I was trying to figure out what to kind of do with this space. And I just think it gives a really good view from the parking lot. Like if you're parking for the day, and also like you see kind of a couple hills, but you don't really see much more after that, right? So it's kind of like you're kind of in suspense on like what that coaster actually does. And so it kind of twists all around each other. And I especially like this area. I did not intentionally have it look like this, but I think it looks really cool where you've got the kind of 3 layers of the coaster track there. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the coaster outside of other than the sequence or the on-ride photo section?
Yeah, I mean that's like a classic wooden layout, right? I mean it kind of comes around and
yeah, it's more of a newer like GCI style in my opinion. Like I definitely got. What do you think I got the idea for this hill from?
Oh, I don't know.
No, it's that one from Kings Island has that hill. Now it's on the first drop, but it's kind of. I try to take some kind of ideas from Kings Island, and then I try to do a double up and double down because I've never done one of those before. I think it's really kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then here I tried to add in, because I know like, I think it's the Voyager, one of the wooden coasters at Holiday World, kind of has some really overbanked turns as you get to the end, which is kind of cool. And then I didn't really deck out this transfer track, but in theory, what would happen is this would all just shift. So a coaster would be on this track here, and it would stay on the same track, and there'd be another coaster on this one, and just shift over. But yeah, so that is Twister. Now it's time for Skyfall. So what do you think of this little plaza area?
Yeah, I like it.
And
I like your little fountain.
Yeah, that's a good. I think somebody suggested I add a water feature in there, and I think it really kind of adds to it. And then, yeah, and then I think it was remote controlled was the one that suggested lowering the fencing and stuff. So, yeah, so I think it really works out. Because I don't know if you remember before, I had the higher fencing, and so I think it looks better where you can have you can kind of look over this way.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and take a ride on this coaster real quick. And I love the views you kind of get from it too, right here.
Yeah.
That kind of walkway. Oh, there's a floating light. I gotta change that before I put it on the workshop. And another floating light. Michael, I did not check over this in as much detail as I should have. And so here's the little transfer track right here. You got some controls and stuff there.
Mm-hmm. I like your station.
Yeah, I'm really happy with how this station turned out, to be honest. I don't want to click on a person. Come on, Luke, get out of my way.
Somebody said you could do with more scenery.
Yeah, I definitely can do with more scenery. We just skipped the lift hill because we all know what the lift hill does on this coaster.
Yeah, so that coaster kind of reminded me of your Scorpion coaster from your other park.
Yeah, it's the same type, and I realized too, once I kind of made all the coasters in the park, that I have like 3 duplicates in terms of same coaster model as my previous park. So on the next one, I really want to kind of differ in terms of, like, I've had 2 dive coasters, I've had a flying coaster in each park. Just trying to make it more, making different style coasters. One thing I did try to do with this park is I really tried to make different manufacturers and different types. And it's like this one's kind of a unique one. It's a B&M Dive coaster. We got a Mack Launch coaster, GCI wooden coaster, and intamin mega-lite. So it's all like different companies. So that's one thing I want to try to do more of too. Is my last park was basically all B&M coasters. Oh, there's the cat. We thought he was sleeping. But yeah, so this is what it looks like at nighttime. So it's kind of trying to have it lit up and having these. I did move the lights so that they are in the correct spot now instead of just floating. And I didn't really add lights over here, but I did have this. Hold on, I was going the wrong direction. There we go. I got, oh gosh, what's the creator's name? Forget the creator's name who made this. I'll make sure and put it in the description, but I kind of adjusted it a little bit to fit this coaster. But I really like kind of how it was. And I put it down here. Inspired by the Row Q 101.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, now I'm trying to keep this video under an hour just for sake of editing on the PS5. But what do you like? Or do you like what I did here with this kind of fencing and walkway on the edge?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as we can kind of see an overhead view of, we've basically looked at the first half of the park, right? So now we got this part to look at, and when we actually go on the POV of this coaster here, I'm gonna post a POV of before guests were in the park, because it's really kind of cool how when you're just testing it normally without like waiting for guests and stuff, how the how close all the coasters kind of intertwine with each other. But so I called it Iron Fighter thanks to what somebody said in the suggestions. And the issue is I used a sign that once I hit the 100 meter, I forgot I can't actually change the color around it. So kind of stuck with it. But yeah, what are your initial thoughts of this coaster? Or just kind of this area?
I don't have any initial thoughts yet.
You don't have any initial thoughts yet? Okay. So I tried to...
it looks cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just tried to put covering wherever covering was needed. And we got this station. Yeah, so I built, and I ended up having to delete the thing underneath to get a higher piece count, but in theory, this is an elevated transfer track where it would go down and you go in kind of the garage here. And I was trying to figure out something cool to do with this space, and I'm going to be honest, I absolutely love how it turned out. Is you kind of have this gate for like the trucks and stuff, and as it comes down here, and then, which I guess I thought I removed that post. Oh well, I can't remove it now because I'm over the limit. But in theory, you've got some garages and stuff, and I just love how this turned out. And then from the layout, too, it just worked out perfectly where you've kind of got the 3 layers there. So it's like the first turnaround, then the second, and the third. So it just really looks really cool, in my opinion.
Yeah. Good job.
Thank you.
All right, next coaster. We got a lot of coasters we got to get
Let's go back to the front of the park for this, because I think this area is best view kind of going from the front of the park. So if we look on here, we didn't see this part to begin with. We just got bathrooms, staff building in there. And then here, pushchair, our European
stroller.
friends. Pushchair sounds better now that my European friends keep saying it. So you got the drop off, you got the rental, and then we got lockers over here. And these are some more that were created by Tommy Leeds 23. And he made a good point. He said, how do people reach that top locker? I was like, that's a good point. I don't know. So locker rental, kind of the ATM machines for it. And yeah, as Justin said before, you got to have a chair swing in your park. Yeah. So I tried to do what Jasmine does with foliage and stuff here.
Yeah, you did a good job.
And then if we come around this way, we've got this awesome coaster. Let me actually and I think if you were to look at this park in flip cam mode, this part looks super cool. Seeing the kind of coaster go down that hill and stuff, and then you've got your pretzel loop there. But yeah, so we've got this space. We'll go on this in a second. So you go around this side to the other side of the play area. And I tried to do a lot more with fencing in this park, like custom fencing, whether it's using walls and different stuff. And here we've got one of those sundials, which apparently no guests want to ride for some reason. But I tried to carry the style of fencing around for this area. So that's where we were before, Iron Fighter.
Wait, what are you trying to get to?
Now I'm just kind of working our way around to this. Because here we've got a nice little food court area with some seating and nice views of this, whatever this coaster's called, Torpedo. Then we got some restrooms.
Yeah, I think my only critique would be on the front where you have the food, or like, well, I guess either side, because you don't have the little menus like you did before, like
Yeah,
the
that's true.
TVs.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I tried to put these here like that, but I totally forgot about coming back and doing that. That's a very good point. And then I've got a little, so I like this little kind of circular plaza area kind of for guests
Uh
to
huh.
sit. And you've got like a little backstage there. Um, and then here, there's actually, you can't go, I mean, guests can go inside these. I just put some stalls inside so guests will be walking in and out of it.
Oh, okay.
But just kind of more for show, which I think kind of
It
gives
looks
a,
like a strip mall.
yeah, it does look like a strip mall, doesn't it? But I think it gives a good look for that kind of area of the
Yeah.
park. So now we got Torpedo. And like I said, I'm trying to keep this video under an hour so that I don't have to edit on my computer and transfer files.
I I just don't think we're gonna get to under an hour with how many roller coasters you have.
We'll see. We're at about, if my calculations are correct now, we're at about 40 minutes. Because we got 4 more coasters to look at, so you're probably right. But we'll see. Yeah, so I made this. This was the first, or I guess the second coaster I made in the park, and I like how it turned out, having this kind of elevated area with the pathing and making all this. So let's
I
go.
like having these like open air stations.
Yep, totally agree.
I actually really like how these boomerang coasters look, but you said you've ridden a few and they're actually really rough,
Oh
right?
yeah, they're super rough in real life.
Why do you think that is?
It's the company. I mean, somebody can correct me on this, but like, Vekoma is the company that makes the boomerangs for the most part, and they're like notorious for having rough coasters. And I know they've started to come up with some newer designs, but they're just notorious. But I mean, I agree with you. I did these corkscrews custom instead of it being the Cobra roll, because on these coasters with the custom corkscrews there, or half corkscrew, you can have the supports with it.
Yeah.
And so then I custom supported this area here, and I created these stairs. I wasn't gonna try to create an elevator thing for it, but I couldn't really get that the way I wanted. So these are some really steep stairs that people would probably fall down, but I wanted to try to create this realistic look of like an evacuation area. Now, yeah. And one thing too that I like about the office that I made is you can just see just a little bit from the guest view, but you can't really see a ton.
Yeah.
And so here's like, in theory, like there's an area for the guests and stuff like that, or the maintenance workers. Once again, I said over here you got a little spot for maintenance as well. And I didn't add as many details on like backstage stuff just because, like I was saying, I was running out of piece count. And people can disagree with me, but I will forever think that they made the piece count way too small for consoles, because this is on 130% and it's running perfectly fine.
Except for the fuzziness on a few signs.
Yeah, but that happens at like 70%. So I mean, that's just an issue with how they do it. But yeah, I just really like how this pretzel loop area kind of turned out with this coaster. I should have put some smoke and stuff in there. That would have been cool. And then I did add custom supports over the station. But let's see, do we want to ride Lightning or Thunder?
Which one are they the same stats, or which one's
Yeah,
better?
it's the same coaster essentially. Let's go
well,
Thunder.
Yeah. Which one has the better queue?
This one kind of goes around. That one just kind of zigzags.
Okay.
Yeah, so what I did here, if anybody hasn't seen, I basically just overlaid the coasters to where they go on the same track. And so it's actually 2 coasters when it looks like it's one. And so every once in a while your coasters might overlap. But It's all good. Like here, technically, this coaster is leaving the station before the other one would in real life, but
You did this in order to have dual stations, right?
right, dual stations. And I'll show you a view of the station once we get done with this. Then I'll make sure to show a view of everything at night. I'm not a huge nighttime person in this game.
But I am.
Yep, Jasmine is. I also, when you overlaid it, because I colored it differently, it gives that really cool dual color aspect to it.
Yeah.
Where it's not like it's dual color different than the normal coloring system would be. So it's really cool in that aspect. So like with how this station is, kind of come out this way, but I saw something similar to this on some picture I saw, and I thought it looked really cool. So it's kind of held up by these cables as well, and
Yeah.
obviously you've got the two sides to it, and how the plaza turned out.
Yeah, I really like the station, and I feel like this, just how you have this is probably maybe one of your, I don't know, just like it's really original, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times playing this game, I mean, people kind of try to recreate things, which isn't bad necessarily, but it's just kind of good to you see something that's like unique like this.
Mm-hmm.
That's like I haven't seen anybody do that before.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That's honestly, I think that's the least smooth coaster I have in the park. Because with the other ones, I kind of went back and smoothed stuff out even more, and I put the border here as well, all the way around, to kind of create the path. But this is one of my favorite areas, coming this way, with where Dune is at.
It's so funny to me because like you named it Dune, and then there's that movie called Dune that's out.
Yeah, I'm not gonna see that movie.
This has nothing to do with. I don't even know what that movie is about, but that just made me think of that.
Yeah, and then obviously you got flat rides here. This is kind of the main area of the park that's got a lot of flat rides because there's like 3 more over that way. But I really love how this turned out, like kind of with the sign and the station and stuff, and placing all these rocks.
And another thing I do like that you've done is you have like a big sign for your roller coasters, but then you have a little sign for the entrance.
Yeah, I wanted to try to do something like that with all the coasters. Didn't quite get around to it with all of them, but I love the views. Now this, before we get on the coaster, so I put a lot of trees here to try to hide the backstage area with the transfer track. Like I said, I didn't deck this out as much as I would have liked, but I put the lights on here, and there's a couple, somehow some lights got deleted by accident when I was doing something, so there's like a gap of lights there. And then up here, I've got this kind of walkway on the transfer track, or not the transfer track, on the mid-course brake run. And we're, I guess, waiting for guests to get on the ride. So while we're waiting, we can look at the stats real quick. G-forces, biggest drop, a little bit over 100 feet. This is a stand-up coaster. And I got this inspiration too, or idea, from like the first half of the coaster is like exactly like the Georgia Scorcher, which is a stand-up coaster at Six Flags Over Georgia, which you've ridden.
Mm-hmm.
I think that part could have been a little bit smoother, but You get a little airtime right there hanging upside down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like your station that you made.
Yeah, thank you. I just kind of wanted to have it a little bit of a rustic kind of look to it.
I don't know
And
why this yellow reminds me of like cheese. Like cheese cubes, you know? Like
yeah.
those cheddar cheese cubes.
Mm-hmm. And one thing too that I did here for the border and for right here is taking the balcony support and just coloring it, and I think it creates kind of a really good border in the park.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of this flat ride area. One thing I did too is to kind of create that mulch kind of look. So you can see it kind of looks like it's almost got like mulch chips. That's the coconut slice, just colored brown. So it
Yeah.
gives kind of a cool, like, kind of mulchy look to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that.
And I love too, like, waiting in this queue, how, like, right here you can see the coaster kind of come over sideways like that.
Uh-huh.
And then you got the corkscrew kind of near the station. So that's kind of cool. This is kind of unique here. So basically, once it gets to the corkscrew, that's when I kind of have my own kind of take on it. Oh, that's perfect timing. But then we have another food area here, which I don't know why the Pip Shot and what's the other one? It's like Pip Shot and the hot dogs don't have actual screens.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, and another thing, like Street Fox Coffee, it doesn't have like one of those little like mini menu sign things.
Oh yeah.
Because I was looking for one. It doesn't have it. So I'm like, why do some of these have this and some of them don't? It's so weird.
Yeah. But I tried to add a little more detail with the wood kind of rounded and this area that doesn't actually have anything. Just kind of adding that detail to it. And then we got another flat ride here, another one back there. And since this is a very colorful one, I created a colorful kind of awning for it.
Mm-hmm.
Which now I'm realizing nobody really rides this ride.
I like it. I mean, I like the awning though.
Mm-hmm. And now we just have one more coaster to ride, so we might actually make the cut here.
I don't know.
It's cutting it close.
No, what's this called?
I end up calling it Wave Runner, since it's kind of like it's hugging the water a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And those are like those sea-doos and stuff. And so here's kind of the queue and station for this coaster. And this is the Mack Launch coaster. So let's go ahead and look at the stats while we're waiting. Which is a lot of these stats change, kind of depending on how many people are waiting for it and stuff. So G-forces, biggest drop. And so I kind of took the inspiration here from Maverick a little bit, but said, like, remember Slinky Dog Dash?
Mm-hmm.
Slinky Dog Dash is technically a Mack coaster, and that one's got a launch up a hill. So it's like if Mack were to try to make a more extreme launch coaster with that style.
Okay.
And Jasmine, it was her idea for the tunnel. So I think that was a good addition to the ride. All right, so we just got off of Wave Runner.
Mm-hmm.
And what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like that one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I tried to, add the extra supports there over the water.
Yeah.
To try to create like this thought of, guests being able to sit here and watch the coaster being launched up the hill, like we're about to see right here. And so definitely took inspiration from Maverick there. But yeah, I'm really overall really happy with how the park turned out. Definitely some things that I really improved on compared to Canyon Valley, and some areas that I still want to improve upon.
Yeah.
But what are some of your final
I think
thoughts?
you did a good job. It's just as far as making this a little more cohesive. I feel like with your areas and
Mm-hmm.
there's like some distinct areas in this, and I don't know. I mean, I think you've done better with your scenery, and I mean, you definitely have a lot of backstage stuff still, and a lot of things like that. But that's kind of your signature. But I like it. I feel like there's too many coasters in here. I feel like somebody else that we know would say that too. But I think, but because you love coasters, I mean, that's just what you like to do. So, but I think I really liked your the wooden one,
Mm-hmm.
um, and whatever that other one is, that dive one or
The dive coaster Skyfall.
no, the iron one.
Oh yeah, the Iron Giant, I think.
Yeah, Iron
Or
Fighter.
Iron Fighter, that's right.
You don't
Iron
even know the
Fighter.
names of your coasters?
I forgot. I'm sorry. Forgive
And
me.
and you have done a good job with your lighting, um, too on this. But
Yeah.
I know lighting isn't like you don't like to do the lighting necessarily,
It's my least
like
favorite
me.
thing to do. Well, I just feel like most theme parks are not actually there at nighttime, so it's not something I focus on.
Right.
Um, because I like doing the realism aspect of it, and I agree. I do try to put a lot of coasters in the park, and I've had this discussion before with some people because it's like, it seems like a lot of the, like in American parks where we go to, like, if you're going to actually make a realistic park, you're going to have like 12 coasters, right? Like
Right.
they have a lot. And so, but with the limit on this game, it doesn't actually allow you to make that many. And so for me, like I want to make more than 4 coasters in a park, but I probably should try to focus on other areas at some point.
Well, it's
Um,
however it's how you want to play it. At the end of the day, it's a game. How you want to do you do whatever you want to do. So.
yeah. Um, But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. What was your favorite ride? I don't know what my favorite one is. I think, yeah, I really like the wooden coaster. I also really like this intamin coaster as well. I like them all, and I
Yeah.
should because I
Yeah, you
made them,
should.
right?
Yeah.
um,
And your dual one. Oh wait,
yeah.
you didn't put your Batman in here?
No, and so I took that out, and I am going to do a video of that ride individually. But I just felt like since it was an actual like themed recreation, it just didn't quite fit in the park
Oh,
because I would have
okay.
had to really make like a Gotham City type area, and I
Yeah.
just didn't have the percent
Okay.
to do that. So that was my initial thought with it. But I loved um, I love the views from the parking lot too. It's just like whichever
Mhm.
side you come in the park, you've got so many views of what's about to come, what you're about to see in the park and stuff. And especially like they got that coaster on the other side. We've got whether it's um, the Intamin coaster or the wooden coaster. There's just so many great views, and it's funny going back and looking at old parks and just kind of being like, oh, that wasn't as good as I maybe thought. But we all get better at this game, right? And
Yeah.
so it's a lot of fun. Like I said, love to hear what your guys' thoughts and opinions. What is there anything you noticed that you would have done differently? Like I really do want like positive critiques too, just so I can get better at the games. I definitely think looking back at Canyon Valley that this is a big step up from that park too.
Yeah.
So hopefully with my next park, it's just as big of a step up. Man, that person's hauling. Where are you going, buddy? Let's guess. Where do you think they're running to? Oh, no, never mind. I was going to say they're going to Heatwave. And I'd like to know, too, what's your favorite coaster in the park?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other closing thoughts, Jasmine?
Nope. Good job.
Thank you. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for checking out. If this is your first time watching the video, make sure to check out the series if you're interested in seeing how this park came together. And hopefully we'll be starting a new series soon because I kind of got some ideas. Just kind of need to iron them out a little bit more because I do want to have like the layout of the park kind of in mind beforehand. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.
See you next time.